What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Today is actually going to be a bit of an in-depth breakdown on various features and mechanics that I think make Battlebit Remastered the successful game that it is. Many of these things aren't going to be noticeable when you're first watching gameplay either on YouTube or Twitch, or even if you're actually playing the game, you might not even know these things existed in the first place. I hope this video can help explain things to you and hopefully give you some newfound understandings on the features and mechanics that make this game so awesome, especially if you're a developer and you're looking at this game and wondering and trying to dissect why this game works and why it's so successful. Get into it. The most important thing about FPS games is the guns. How do they feel? How do they sound? How do they shoot? What's the recoil like? What's the handling like? And so many things that basically are these smaller, finer details that paint the larger picture of the experience. And a lot of that is felt within the gameplay. So in BattleBit, you can check your magazine. There's two types of reloads. You have retaining reloads. Keep your magazine. You have fast reloads where you can kick your magazine on the ground and then pick your magazine back up. These are things that aren't normally in most shooters. Another amazing feature is since the game has magazines and each one has a different ammo count inside of it, you can actually hold P and then pack these, and then they'll consolidate themselves. Another amazing feature that adds to the skill ceiling of BattleBit is staged reloads. Staged reloads are basically when you start your animation, you can interrupt your animation, switch to your secondary, or maybe a grenade, or maybe a bandage, and then pull your primary back out, and then finish your reload. This works all the way up to the weapon being completely empty, and even the stages in when you actually have to tap your magazine in, depending on the animation of the weapon. So we go mag out, mag in, we switch to our pistol, we go back to the primary, and he just racks the bullet. So the game remembers where you left off in your reload. And this is an incredibly important part of the gameplay because it allows the player to make quick, tactical decisions in the midst of firefights in order to come out on top. In FPS games, the skill and gameplay comes down to milliseconds as to whether or not you're going to win a firefight or not. And allowing the player to have these tools at their disposal that are just core features underlined in the gameplay is incredibly important to make this game actually what it is. And these are things that I think developers making any either arcade or tactical shooter should definitely focus on. Your players need to have a high skill ceiling, but more than anything, it also has to be easy to learn. The best types of shooters out there, or any game for that matter, are easy to learn and hard to master because your new players will have a good new experience because it's something that feels familiar. And then your more skilled veteran players will actually be able to have that higher skill ceiling and chase what it means to be a very good player. Another part about the gameplay that you're not going to notice right away is how the hipfire works. In most games, there's what is called cone of fire. It's typically when you have a crosshair that starts out small and the more you shoot, it gets bigger and bigger. This typically happens when you're shooting from the hip. However, in BattleBit, one thing that they've done is actually quite immersive and also feels great is at an aiming dead zone. What an aiming dead zone is basically whenever you move your gun left or right, up or down, it doesn't actually follow the X and Y axis of your screen. Most FPS games, especially games like Escape from Tarkov, which has a hardcore realistic shooter, or games like Call of Duty, which have that cone of fire effect with the crosshair, allow the players to use that center point of their screen as a constant reference. In BattleBit, the guns are simulated just how they would be in real life. In other words, the projectile comes from the muzzle of the weapon. So wherever the muzzle of the weapon is where the gunshots are going to be going. And because the aiming dead zone is here, it actually adds a high level of skill to shooting from the hip. You can no longer use that center point of your screen as a reference and just snap on targets willy-nilly. You actually have to understand the direction of the muzzle and then where to aim the gun from the hip in order to land shots. And it's actually harder than it looks. It takes a lot of practice. However, just like I said, when a game is easy to learn, hard to master, this is one of those things that adds to that type of gameplay. Players who learn the weapon, or maybe you attach a laser on your gun, which helps you understand where your muzzle's pointing, increases the skill ceiling of the game. But at the same time, it feels very good. It feels natural. There are some games that have tried to attempt an aiming dead zone and they don't really feel too good, because every aiming dead zone in a lot of different games is a bit different. However, BattleBit has managed to make it feel very nice and fluid, and it doesn't feel clunky or weird. Another very important aspect of the weapons in BattleBit is not just how they feel, but how the player can choose one and customize it based on their needs and preference. There's such a large selection of different weapons to use, ranging from assault rifles, machine guns, personal defense weapons, and carbines. One of my personal favorites is the AS-Val. Every weapon has their own attachments, which are all general across every single weapon. You have different grips, different magazine attachments, which affect reload speed or mag capacity. You have different optics that you can choose, all of which are all great. It's just based on your own personal preference on which reticle you like. None is really better than the other. as well as camouflage options and skins. This skin right here is actually my own custom one made by the developers for me personally. If you guys haven't come by my Twitch stream, we're actually going to be doing a giveaway for this. And this skin is highly limited. There's only going to be 200 of these skins in the entire game for 200 lucky people who will win them through my Twitch streams. So if you haven't, come by the Twitch channel and drop the follow. I'd highly recommend you do if you want to have a chance at winning this skin. We even have our logo here etched into the stock. So being able to customize and personalize your weapons as a player in a game like Battlebit is just so important because it lets each player feel like they're unique, not only in terms of the playstyle of the weapon that they want to choose, but also the preference of their attachments, as well as the skins and cosmetics that they can have on the weapon as well. If a game that you are making is a Battlefield style shooter, or Call of Duty, or even something that's a little bit more realistic and tactical, giving the players the ability to customize and choose weapons based on preference and playstyle is massive. That's all people want. People want to be able to be free to use whatever kind of gear they want. On top of that, there's classes. Classes and roles are important to games like this because it lets people identify by a certain playstyle based on gadgets and weapons that are available in each class. Battlebit has 6 of them. Each class has their own unique types of weapons as well. Recon having snipers and DMRs, the support class having light support guns, light machine guns, and in the future, heavy medium machine guns like the M60, MG36, and so much more. There's also the engineer, which has gadgets like rocket launchers and anti-tank mines, repair tools if you like being in a tank or repairing a helicopter while in the cockpit or something. You have the medic if you're somebody who wants to revive and heal people. This is my personal most played class just because it's incredibly versatile. Then we have classes like assault, which are intended to be used for people who are very aggressive and want to push forward. They even have a sweet riot shield that you can use, which can be pretty fun to use in a coordinated team. And lastly, there's the leader role. This class is a little kind of ugly ducking. It's going to be used for like the hardcore mode one day, but we'll save that for another video. But at the end of the day, the point is that people can choose the play style that they want. They can choose the class that they want, and they can choose the gadgets and gear that they want as well. That is so important. You want to be able to identify yourself and utilize whatever you want that fits your play style and needs, and maybe whatever your squad role is in order to help your squad on the battlefield. Another amazing aspect of Battlebit's customization is not only in the weapons, but with the characters. Every single class has their own unique equipment and gear that you can wear that affects things like your total armor durability. It affects the primary magazines that you have, your primary and secondary gadgets, your overall movement speed, the armor on your helmet, and the secondary magazines that you have for whatever pistol you want to use. Customize your character's skin. You can customize your uniform. You can customize your belt. You can customize your armor, even backpacks, as well as various options on the head with different helmets and masks, as well as hair and facial features and different eyeballs as well. Having the ability to customize all these things is one of the reasons that Battlebit is a good game, is because it lets players express themselves. They're not limited by certain looks and gear. They can let their character look the way that they want to and have that full ability to express that. These are one of the few things, again, that make Battlebit such an amazing game. One of the main features that makes Battlebit so amazing is its destruction. Assuming you're equipped with the right weapons and gear, you're pretty much able to destroy almost anything that you see. This is so incredibly fun. It's so damn simple. Bad Company 2 managed to perfect this back, I want to say almost, 10 years ago when that game first launched. That was one of my favorite Battlefield games, and it was because you could absolutely level the map. Anything, any wall that you see, you could just turn into concealment if there's enemies behind it. Man, it's so much fun. Even buildings like this can be destroyed completely if you've done enough damage to the walls and the integrity of the building, and eventually it'll collapse and turn into a ruin. But not only that, there's even much larger things that you can destroy as well. This never really gets old. I love seeing this every single time. And what's so amazing is that now this is a playable structure on the map. You can fight in this, you can fight around it, and it now has a permanent effect on the battlefield overall. And this is just amazing. Like, who doesn't like this? It's so much fun. We don't need Levolution. We don't need fucking tornadoes. We don't need all of these Hollywood like trailer gimmicks. All we want to do is be able to make our own impressions on the match and be able to terraform to our heart's desire. It's really not that much to ask for. One of the most important things about Battlebit is its progression. Leveling up your character unlocks different gear, gadgets, and weapons, and then being able to use a specific weapon and get kills on it begins to unlock different camouflage and skins. There's even a prestige mode after you've hit level 200, You can reset your level and then get access to new skins and customizations, as well as clothing items that you can get on your character. Again, allowing players to kind of have something to constantly chase. It's really not that much to ask for. It's so simple, but it's so much fun, and these are things that, well, frankly weren't broken and never needed to be re-innovated. A lot of developers have tried to reinvent the wheel with this stuff, but they didn't really realize the reason why their games and titles were successful in the past and were beloved by fans is because they had these core features that just worked. The Battlebit team didn't try and change anything. They didn't try and do anything out of the ladder that made it super crazy and unique and different. All they did was take what worked and all of these smaller, tinier features that painted a much larger picture, which made the game fantastic. And so I'm really happy to see this game being successful as it is. Honestly, everything that's been going on so far with Battlebit has just been fucking incredible. I'm hitting massive Steam charts of peaks of 187,000 players, and since launch been averaging anywhere from 50 to 70,000 players each evening. Has just been awesome to see, because it really just goes to show that if the wheel ain't broken, you ain't gotta innovate and add fucking tornadoes and evolution. All you gotta do is just add the stuff that people liked at the very beginning. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Hopefully you maybe learned something new from this and maybe have a little bit more of a profound appreciation for Battlebit. And hopefully some of you other developers who are watching Battlebit right now can understand what exactly is making this game successful and what you can potentially do in the future to make your games awesome as well. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you on the next video.